Thank you for joining me today for our webinar, How Do ISP Changes Impact Your Email? My name is Jill, and I'm the Training and Education Manager here at VerticalResponse. And today I'm going to take you through some of the changes that have been made by ISPs over the last year, which can impact how your email is delivered to your readers. This webinar will be about 30 minutes. And at the end, there will be time for Q&A. So if you think of questions along the way, go ahead and type those into the box that you see in your GoToWebinar window, and I'll be happy to answer all of those at the end. One of the things that I get asked at all of the webinars is this being recorded? And the answer is yes, I am recording this webinar. I will get it up on the help site today, this afternoon. And I will also put the deck up on SlideShare, so if you want to go take a look at some of the information up there, you can always go back and refresh your memory on that. So with that, let's take a look at some of the things we're going to cover today. First of all, why is this even important in the first place? I'm going to go over that. What you need to know about the changes that have been made by the different ISPs, and then what you as a person sending an email to customers needs to know and what you need to do. And then I have resources, and as I said, there is time for Q&A as well. So the first thing, why does this even matter to you? Well, when it comes to email marketing, delivery really is everything. If your email doesn't get to the inbox, it really doesn't matter how much information is in your email, what kind of content you have, because nobody's going to see it. So delivery is really one of the most important pieces in your email marketing. And that's one of the reasons why you use a company like VerticalResponse, is to ensure that your email is getting to the inbox. So knowing some of these changes can really help you. We certainly try to keep you updated whenever these changes are going to happen. And I have, again, some resources at the end to help you find this information. It isn't just being in compliance with the anti-spam laws. You also need to comply with whatever the ISPs are requiring for getting your email to the inbox. It also can change how your readers interact with your email. It can change how often they're seeing your email, when they see it, where they see it in their inbox. So knowing how different ISPs interact with your emails can give you more insight into how your readers are interacting with your emails. So the first thing we're going to talk about is Gmail. Gmail actually has made a lot of changes over the last year or so, most of which will impact how your readers interact with your emails and where they're seeing the emails. They've made some very large changes. So one of the things that they've added is an auto unsubscribe up at the top of the email. They're finding that, and Gmail isn't the only one that does this, but they recently implemented this. Gmail found that a lot of people were clicking the spam button for an email that they'd been interacting with, because Gmail knows if you've been interacting. And instead of scrolling to the bottom to click the link that says unsubscribe, which is where most of the unsubscribe links are, is at the bottom, people were just hitting the spam button, which is bad for Gmail because then it looks like there's all these people getting spam. It's bad for people like VR who's sending the emails that are being marked as spam, because it's really not spam. It was an email that somebody had signed up for and they no longer wanted it for whatever reason. Really, all they wanted to do was unsubscribe, and they were hitting the spam button. So trying to get around this, Gmail set up this link where you can just click unsubscribe, and it's at the top, not far from the spam button. So hopefully it will keep people from clicking the wrong button, indicating things that were not going well. This could actually be a boon for email marketers, and we're going to talk about that a little bit in a couple of slides, what all of these things mean as a marketer. But having the unsubscribe link at the top is not necessarily a bad thing as an email marketer. Another thing, and if you use Gmail or you've been keeping up with any of this, that changes that Gmail has made is two things. They added tabs about a year and a half ago. So now emails are sorted based on the type of content that they are. And the promotional tab is where promo type of emails go. A lot of emails that email marketers send go to the promotions tab. And when this initially came out, a lot of people were afraid their emails wouldn't get seen. I am a person who uses Gmail. I look at all the tabs. I didn't find that this was any more or less difficult than having it all come in one place. Or I use folders in my Gmail as well to sort it out by the different types of emails that I was getting. So my promotions tab actually doesn't get that many because I already have those emails being filtered to specific folders. But Gmail sees that filtering as a way of interacting with an email. So they tend to not mark those as spam because I have specifically asked them to do something with it. So the tabs initially were questionable for a lot of marketers, and they were concerned that their emails would go to the promotions tab and nobody would ever see them again. As it has played out, that's really not true. Initially, I think there were some issues when people were trying to figure out where their emails were in their Gmail account, but I think that's all been taken care of. And Gmail is seeing pretty much back to normal open rates as before they had made these changes. So it seems that people have found where their emails are. The other thing that they changed was this particular view, which is the grid view. This is only on the promotions tab, and they set it up to look a little bit like Pinterest. So you get a big hero image at the top, and then you get a little snippet of what the email is about, and then you can click into it. So this is definitely a different look for an inbox. I'm not sure everybody loves this, but this is something they've been testing out. But it's only on the promotions tab. If your email is going to any of the other tabs, the primary tab or the social tab, then it doesn't look like this. It's just the subject line and the from label, just like it had always been. And people can move the emails around. So if an email comes in on a specific tab, they can just grab it and move it to another one. So if I had an email that came in on the promotions tab, but I'd rather see it on the primary tab, I can just grab it and drop it over there, and then it'll always go in that way. So it is something that people using Gmail have a lot of control over, but as a person sending the email, you really don't. Now, I know one of the things that people have done, especially when Gmail initially came out with this, was to put a little snippet at the top of their email that said to move it over to the primary tab. So that their emails weren't missed. You can segment your list based on the domain. So you could create a list based on just Gmail addresses, and you can add that snippet at the top. If you think that your Gmail open rates have decreased, it could be that people haven't found your email on the promo tab yet. But hopefully at this point, like I said, it was about a year and a half ago that they changed this. I think a lot of the open rates have gone up, so it's looking a little bit better there. Specifically, these are what the tabs look like. This is a screenshot of my inbox. So you have a primary, social, promo, updates, and forums. And there's different types of emails that get filtered in there. It's based on the content of your email. So you don't really get control over which tab your email is going to. Gmail is determining that based on the content in your email. Again, you can always segment your list and move people, or segment your list and ask people to move your email if you need to. But it's unlikely that it's a big problem right now. It shouldn't be a big deal for you right now. The other thing, there's that big blue arrow there at the very bottom. You want to make sure that you have claimed your Google Plus account. Google has made that change, well, not change, but they've kind of set that up for everybody, trying to get people to use Google Plus. And on this promo tab, you can see the companies that have claimed it and the companies that haven't, because it pulls in the logo that you use on your Google Plus account. So, I think it's cooks.com that has that swirly logo there. That's actually being pulled from Google Plus. It's not being pulled from their email. And you can see the email to the left of it actually doesn't have a logo. That is what it looks like if you don't have a Google Plus page. It just pulls in that little box. So if you want to continue having your branding looking correct on your emails, you should claim that. If we look over here, you can see Etsy, ESPN, all of these guys, TripAdvisor, they all have claimed their Google Plus account, and so you can see their logo on the little squares there. So Google Inbox or Gmail Inbox is something that's kind of a new thing. It's still invite only, so not everybody has this, but it's a way of organizing your inbox, even beyond what the tabs have done, to bundling email types. So again, depending on the content, they'll bundle it, and then people need to go in and take a look at the emails. They also, anyone using Inbox has the ability to snooze an email, so they can click snooze and it'll move to the bottom of the queue until whatever designated time it was asked to come back, it'll come back then. Again, this is something that email marketers are a little concerned about, because if somebody clicks snooze on their email, when are they going to interact with it? Once somebody has gotten the email back again, they can always interact with it. There's nothing that's changed in the email itself. You'll still be able to track opens and clicks and things like that. It just might be at a later date than when you had sent the email. They also have the ability to pin an email if it's something that they need to interact with, which keeps it up at the top of the inbox. Again, this is something that's just being tested right now, and it kind of depends on the person using it. I don't think everybody is going to be using Inbox. It really does require quite a bit of interaction, and not everybody wants to interact that much with their email account. But it could be something to keep an eye on. Again, it's just invite only right now, so not a lot of people are using it. I think that the biggest impact this could have on email marketers is that their emails won't get seen right away. And so speaking of that, what this means for you, the tabs could impact when your mail is being seen. So it could be that your email is sent at let's say 9 in the morning, but people don't see it until later in the day, or maybe even the next day. It depends on when they interact with the different information on the different tabs. Like I said, I've been a Gmail user for a very long time, and I look at all of the tabs, and I look at all my folders where I have a lot of emails already being sorted. So for me, it really didn't change how I interact with the emails. All the emails I get, or most of them, are ones that I've signed up for. And so I want to see them, and I will go to the updates tab to find the information there, or I'll go to the promo tab to see what's in there. So I'm not sure that the tabs are necessarily going to cause a huge problem for email marketers. I just think it could be a delay in when people see it. As I said, Gmail is having, there were a lot of questions when these changes came out, but the open rates have bounced back, and they're a lot higher than they used to be. So I think Gmail feels like the changes that they've made have really helped the people using Gmail see the emails that they want to see. But things are going pretty well, I think, with this. There are less spam complaints because they've added the unsubscribe URL at the top, which ultimately is a good thing for you. If you want to get your email to the inbox, you don't want people saying that your email is spam, or you don't want people saying that the emails coming from the email service you're using are spam, because that could interact with their delivery as well. So that actually has been a positive thing, moving the unsubscribe link up to the top. Like I said, you shouldn't really worry too much about that. People will unsubscribe, if there's something that they're just no longer interested in, and, it happens, and I wouldn't worry too much about that. It is better for delivery, though, with this. And with the inbox, with the option to snooze, it could have an impact on when people are seeing your email. So if you have something that is time sensitive, you may need to send your email earlier than what you have done in the past, because it's possible that somebody won't see it until later. The other thing that Gmail did, which is why the open rates are a little bit higher, not just because of the tabs, is that they started hosting images for the emails. So instead of how in the past you would have to click on a link to see the images, now the images come on automatically. And you can see that in my screenshot here, as well as the companies that have claimed their Google Plus accounts. But you can see that there's images already activated on these emails, and I haven't clicked into them or said, hey, here's, show me these pictures. And that's because Gmail now is hosting the images themselves. I'm not sure anyone thought that was necessarily a bad thing. I think people might have questioned the motive, but I think that has been a boon for email marketers because you no longer have to try to encourage people to click on the turn on images link. It is automatically done for them, and so they're going to see the content in your email automatically, at least on a desktop. On mobile phones, that's not the same, at least not on my mobile phone. But hopefully that will change soon as well. But they are making a lot of big changes over there at the Gmail world, so you should probably expect to see some more stuff coming from there as well. Like I said, I think the only thing to take away from this as an email marketer is to keep an eye on your opens and clicks for your Gmail people. You could create a list of just addresses from Gmail and make sure your opens and everything look as good on Gmail as they do on anything else. Or take a look at when people are opening, and again, maybe you need to send your email a little earlier if you have something that's time sensitive. So Yahoo last year made some authentication changes. We're going to talk about this on the next two slides because this is something that was pretty big. What they did was made people who were mailing into the Yahoo domain show what from address they were mailing from. Basically, if you had an @Yahoo email address in your from label, you had to be mailing from Yahoo. You could not be mailing from VerticalResponse or anybody like that and have a Yahoo address. If you did, they wouldn't let the email into their system. This was a fairly new thing. It definitely caused quite a stir in the email marketing world. The good thing is that this is really helping a lot on the spam and phishing side of email, and they're just being a little more strict on the types of emails that they're allowing into the system. The thing that you need to keep in mind as a person using VerticalResponse, or if you're using something else, is that your from address can't be yahoo.com because you are not mailing from Yahoo. If you put it in there, we're going to automatically change it so that it isn't being masked. So if you have Yahoo on your account, that's your email address that you use on your VR account. We usually will automatically pull that in, but if it's Yahoo, we're going to mask it. We're not going to mask it. We're going to change it to a VerticalResponse one so that there's no issue delivering to Yahoo. And in addition to Yahoo, AOL made the same authentication changes. So if you're mailing to an AOL address, your from label can't be AOL.com if you are not sending it from AOL. So again, this is something that's started changing last year. And what this is something called DMARC. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. But if you're using AOL or Yahoo email addresses, you just can't use them in your from label unless you're mailing from that domain. This is something that is expected to happen across a variety of ISPs. We have seen this in Outlook, Hotmail, Outlook.com, sorry, used to be Hotmail. Now it's Outlook.com. They've also made the same change. So you just need to keep aware of the things that you can or can't use in your from address. And one of the things you might also consider doing is segmenting your list for these particular domains and then just check your delivery, especially if you've just changed your from address. You can check and see that there hasn't been any issues with your delivery. So the thing that changed in AOL and Yahoo was called DMARC. And DMARC is another authentication tool that ISPs are using, or that's available for ISPs to use to verify where emails are coming from. Oops, my dots are off there. It stands for Domain-Based Message Authentication, Reporting, and Conformance. long words, but basically what it does is it uses SPF and domain keys, DKIM, to identify where an email is coming from based on those two pieces of information. Those are delivery things that anyone sending an email, especially like an email service like VR, are using to verify who they are and that they can send the emails. So it's used to authenticate who's sending the email and then also that they're allowed to mail into that domain. So DMARC uses both of these to verify the sender and to check that the from address matches what is known about the sender so that the from address is really coming from the right place. You can find out some more information about this at DMARC.org, but basically what this is doing is helping to protect the ISPs like Yahoo, like AOL, to make sure that the emails that are coming into their system are really coming from the right place and they aren't bad address or bad emails coming into their system. This is, again, something that you'll be seeing that is implemented across pretty much all of them. I'm not sure that Gmail is doing this yet, but I am pretty sure they will be. So just keep in mind that this is something that could start coming across for a lot of different ISPs as well. So one of the things that you need to also keep in mind is your list should always be a pretty clean list. A lot of these delivery changes will impact where your email is going or what your readers are seeing or when they're seeing it. But you also need to have a good sending reputation, even if you're mailing through VerticalResponse. So to help keep your emails getting to your readers, you want your list to be a good list. You only use opted-in email addresses. If you're mailing through VR, you can't use purchased address or a rented list or addresses that you scraped off the internet. They have to be opted in. You also need to make sure you stay within the anti-spam laws wherever you're sending your emails. So most of the countries in North America and Europe have anti-spam legislation. Most of them are more strict than what the U.S. has. But if you stay within the rules of what VR has for your mailing lists, you'll be fine for mailing outside of the U.S. as well. But it's really important that you adhere to what the anti-spam laws say, what the ISPs need, and what your email service provider requires. So what VerticalResponse requires of you as well. And if you're following those things, whenever these other changes happen, you should not run into any issues. Your recipient should still get your email when an ISP makes changes on deliveries, as long as you have lots of engaged people on your list and they signed up to be there. So here's some resources for you. As I said, these things can change all the time, and anytime something changes in the social networks or in emails or in email delivery, we will often have a breaking news blog post. So you probably want to take a look at that every now and then and see what breaking news information is happening. If there is breaking news, that's also included in our newsletter, so we try to make sure you have that information as well. So if you're not getting the VR buzz, I would certainly recommend that you do, but our blog is definitely a great resource to finding out when these changes are being made. We try to keep you up to date on any changes within email marketing or social media marketing, and we also try to make sure that you're always in compliance with these things. That's one of the great things about using a system like ours, is that we know what's going on, and we'll keep trying to get your emails to the inbox, and we'll do everything we can to do that. So we stay within all of these rules. We follow all of these authentication channels to make sure your emails are going where they need to. Some of the other resources that I find super helpful when it comes to emails in general and email delivery is Litmus. They have a really good blog. They talk a lot about email marketing there. Email on Acid also has a really good blog, lots of email information and any kind of changes coming along. They have that info. And then mog.org is definitely something to keep up on. They have a lot of information about email and some other ways that people market some information there as well. So these are the resources that I could think of for you. There's definitely some other ones that you could find as well. Like I said, DMARC, if you want to find more about that, there is a website, dmarc.org. And Wikipedia always has info. Or you can always just reach out to us if you have any questions. We'll always have an answer for you.